In iGaming, careers really do progress faster.
It is a very cash-rich industry, as you might expect.
The company is interested in noticing someone and promoting them.
The market seems big, but it's familiar. Everyone knows each other.
Employers are embellishing, candidates
Are lying.
Right.
From our perspective as an agency and how we see it,
No matter how we try to adapt, right? In this world, the brain loves quick solutions and what it's used to doing. It's cool that more and more such companies are appearing on the market. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you to the first episode of the Talent Insider podcast series. This is a new project. Here we want to discuss careers, recruitment, iGaming, trends in iGaming, and general trends in various industries, but our goal is to help great candidates, sell their expertise and find their perfect job matches. I'm Irina Glova, your regular host, I wanted to say, but no, not a host at all. I'll just try to learn how to do it. Overall, I'm a former head of recruitment and current head of Growe Talents Agency. This is a recruitment company that helps make perfect matches happen in iGaming companies. And our main goal is not to fill a role here and now. Our main goal is to find the company and the position for the candidate where they will maximize their potential. We grew from within the iGaming company Growe, which helps iGaming businesses develop in emerging markets, Asia, Africa, and LATAM. And by gaining certain expertise, we realized that the market needs us, not just inside Growe. We started getting requests for career consultations, expert opinions, and just our thoughts on candidates and companies. So we decided to reformat into an agency, where, of course, Growe remains our main client, but we've gone further, working with other clients, providing our recruitment expertise to many others. So we decided to create a podcast series where we'll also take some time to talk about our own experiences, the mistakes we've made along the way, and more generally, about our vision of the industry and the world of recruitment. And we want to help candidates develop and help companies find their great matches. I have a simply wonderful guest today, whom I've known for a very long time, who also knows me well and knows recruitment and iGaming well. And Vadym actually, I think, knows a lot about hiring in iGaming and knows everything, and he's my perfect first guest. Vadym, hello.
hi Ira, perfect guest, perfect partner. I think you understand perfectly how much we value our constant collaborations and our regular joint projects and our mutual understanding. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure. It's actually an honor to be in the first episode of this new project of yours. Thanks for this great introduction. I'll tell you a bit about us. I am the head of the company Talentin. Recently, we've become a recruitment and consulting firm, so now we work not only in hiring, but also in people operations. As a company, as Talentin, our main focus is high-risk businesses. And where there's high risk, iGaming mostly prevails. Our key, let's say, feature is the quality of our expertise. That is, we consider ourselves very knowledgeable in this business vertical. And for example, one metric we're proud of is that over 95% of the candidates we present to our clients move on to the next stage, the interview. So I believe this is a sign of quality, a sign of trust. So I'll be happy to talk about iGaming. Every day, from morning till night, we work with various positions and projects in iGaming. I'll be happy to answer questions and discuss various topics with you.
I hope there will actually be a discussion, because I noticed that our thoughts generally align in some areas. And maybe it'll turn out like, well, yes, I agree. But I hope the discussion turns out to be interesting. First question, let's start with the basics. How do you think candidates coming to you with an iGaming background differ from those without it, coming from other industries?
Listen, today we'll talk a lot about speed, because as I was preparing, I realized iGaming has always been about speed first and foremost, my first association. I'd say that candidates for iGaming, they stand out for their speed, high tolerance for uncertainty, and thinking through metrics. Those are the three main points I would mention first initially. Next as well, you could add adaptability, focus on achieving results, short-term planning, and a fast pace to completing the cycle and testing and thinking through return on investment in every sense that we know. Meaning payback, how much was invested, how much was returned. But these 3 points, I believe, are basically the most important. It's speed, it's tolerance for uncertainty, and it's thinking and forecasting basically through specific metrics, specific numbers. That's the thing.
Listen, when I think about candidates from iGaming, it feels like there are only advantages. I think, it can't be that only those from iGaming are so adaptive and fast and, analytical, while it's not like that in other industries. Actually, that's not the case. On the contrary, every industry brings its own contribution, so to speak, yes. But when I think from a recruiter's perspective, as someone who has conducted these interviews, candidates from iGaming really stand out. First of all, they ask far fewer questions than other candidates who come from places with, let's say, a clear structure and defined processes. This doesn't mean that iGaming lacks these processes or structures. I mean, they exist, but they might not be perfect, and the focus there is on the result rather than the process itself. And these candidates coming from iGaming, they won't ask you what tools you use for work or to give them the exact team composition they'll be working with. Or, for example, listen, you need to achieve, say a 100% increase in GGR over the next 6 months. Okay, I have 6 months. I have, a team, right? The team is there. Well, that's it. Let's go. But truly, candidates from iGaming are all about that speed and adaptability that probably no one else has. And you just need to balance them sometimes with other team players who will bring in, it's not about chaos. It's not like everything is working haphazardly. It's just that they don't need, those perfect processes, tools, or teams to deliver results. Their attitude is, okay, our new comfort zone is instability and uncertainty. We'll figure it out.
As it was before, so it will be further on, and uncertainty will always be there. And I agree with you 100% that the candidates are different, and you can really see it. I mean, you immediately understand if a person is from iGaming or if they've spent their whole life working in a service business.
I really like asking in interviews what was, for example, the hardest thing for you at your previous job. And for some, the hardest thing would be, filling out an Excel sheet in an hour when it usually took them 4 hours. But in iGaming, it'll be, this morning we decided to launch a new market, ran an A/B test, and by the afternoon we basically launched it. And that was a real challenge for me. And yet they tell it with such excitement, that they're clearly thriving on that challenge. In other industries, they might have burned out from such a challenge, not knowing where to even start. And for them, it would be stressful, and they'd say, no, this is chaos to me, though in reality, it's not chaos. That's how the industry survives. If you don't make bold moves, the business won't operate as effectively. So what do you think? It's clear to us. We see the difference between candidates with an iGaming background and those without. What do you think about candidates entering our industry from others like corporate, FMCG, e-commerce or retail, maybe excluding crypto and fintech for now, as they're quite similar in many ways?
And also high risk.
But things are a bit different there, yes. Some of those super clean, low risk niches. What do you think surprises them most when they first enter our industry?
I don't just think, I actually know. We also bring in and hire people who just yesterday were working in something very straightforward and transparent. I believe, and based on the feedback from these candidates, the very first thing that was always mentioned was speed, how quickly things could move, followed by the opportunities and the overall scale, the ability to scale a project up in a very short period of time. The next thing is high standards. Many people think, well, we'll talk about this later, right? That iGaming is some kind of massive cash machine. Everything is easy and cool and money is all around you and you just need to take it. But no. What's surprising is actually the high standards. And if a candidate comes from a straightforward, legitimate IT business, they're used to the fact that regarding their results, well, they will be expected, but it's not a big deal, right? Projects can drag on for months. But here, since everyone is focused on KPIs, metrics, revenue, GGR, and all those iGaming indicators, then from the candidates, no matter what their role is, whether they're in the tech department, marketing, or analytics, they'll be asked to deliver results quickly, and it isn't optional. So that's how things go here?
Yes, and by the way, I also thought about the fact that there are many perceptions regarding the industry itself. Those who aren't in it think, well, it's not exactly a legitimate niche. People there, they make a lot of money, but it's not all above board.
They're fooling everyone, yeah, right.
Yeah, they're even afraid to go there because it feels like something is going on, something shady, like everyone's just there to make easy money and then we'll figure it out. The image is nice, of course, we'll do something, we'll figure it out. And then they get in and I see them listen, I've never had such a structured onboarding. I've never had a people partner who's supporting your performance. I've never seen an industry so performance oriented in everything. For example, at Growe, our CEO's day starts with him looking at metrics. That's a must. And basically everything flows from that. Not a single department here operates without looking at metrics or analyzing some results. And nobody thought that everything here was so data-driven, analytically driven. Nobody thought that, for example, marketing is so much about performance marketing. Nobody thought the product would be so interesting. And it surprises them because they expected some kind of chaos where nothing makes sense, but they joined a company with structure. Yeah, everything is fast, but there's no chaos. Wow, it turns out you actually have to work here, show results, and then you'll get paid.
And I also remembered, I think candidates coming from the outside see a difference, let's say a difference in decision-making in the process itself. So imagine some complex corporate culture in some large IT business. Well, I've worked in some companies where to get some kind of permission, an approval, you could wait for months, go through absolute hell and so on. And unlike how it is, say, with a product-based iGaming operator, where there's a request, there's a specific, transparent goal. And there, even today, within an hour, a person can get a decision. I mean, it's very, very fast.
Some candidates say, wait, you can do that? You don't have to send 10 emails.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
30 people approve it. Everything just happens so quickly. And this is exactly what will also stress some people out because they're afraid to make decisions. They need for example, they get an idea and they need to confirm it with their manager or, a related department, write that email and get a green light. It's actually about shifting the responsibility away from yourself.
Of course.
Got no confirmation, not on me.
Yes, right.
But here, basically, you come in and you bring an idea to the table and they tell you, do it. Bring the result and then we'll discuss it. And you're like, wow, what do you mean? What about breaking this plan down into tiny little pieces and somehow adjusting it? Well, at first, this can really be scary for people because, they're just not used to it. Our brain really loves some kind of comfort after all. No matter how hard we try to adapt, right, in this world. But the brain loves quick decisions and doing what it's already used to. For some, it's stress at first, but then they just can't do it any other way. When someone stops them at a point where it seems like, everything is clear, why complicate the process now? It starts to annoy them, but that happens over time. At first, candidates are like, wow, wait, can I double check this here? Who should I run to anyway to make sure that I'm doing it right? Well, but usually we still select adaptive ones. That's primarily who and what we look for.
Yes, right.
So they see how it all works, quickly realize that, okay, this isn't how it used to work for me. Let's readjust now and do it differently.
Yeah, 100%.
I recently asked ChatGPT what surprises it about people's requests. You get asked a lot, about one thing, another, different areas. As an artificial intelligence, what surprises you most about people? It answered me. I actually even made a post on LinkedIn. It told me that it's surprised by how quickly people can adapt to absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And how insecure people are in their actions when they have so much experience behind them. They constantly needed to say, for example, you can do it, you'll get it done, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And for some people in a company, they don't need ChatGPT, right? But some other people who will give them that support.
Because
they are used to it.
Yes, it's easier.
So that's where this ownership, and the ability to make quick decisions really come into play.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds like we're selling this industry, but no, just different sides of the coin. There are those it doesn't suit. For whom the pace, for some people, it's not okay. How fast the pace is. It's like you haven't worked in one company, right, for a year, but it feels like you've changed 4 or 5. For some, it's totally comfortable. Others, on the contrary, like to weigh everything slowly, launch over time, make these strategic plans, launch some project over 6 months, polish to perfection, and it will also be successful. It's just that things work differently here. It either suits people or it doesn't. As Vadym and I are talking now, I think it suits us, so it actually seems like we're selling the industry.
100%. Okay, sorry for interrupting, I can't imagine myself now in some very, very slow business where you have to get some feedback, progress, and so on through several iterations. I'm so used to high risk that, I just don't see myself in any other verticals. But as you say, it's also undeniable that this definitely isn't for every candidate. For some it's okay and it drives them, while others prefer to have it quiet, calm, diluting their responsibility, just sit there and do a small piece of work. That's it.
And here, by the way, it's very important for a recruiter to uncover this adaptability and generally reveal if the candidate is actually ready for this. Because often I think there are candidates who are great at interviewing and will tell you all about everything. Well, it just seems like, you can hire them right now and just skip all the next stages of the interview. And then there are those who, can't really sell themselves, but in practice, they're super effective. They just don't know how to interview or how to talk about their achievements properly. And here, a recruiter should really let them open up, someone who can ask such targeted questions that the candidate maybe had already forgotten they did it, but they'll reveal everything. And this is exactly about how ready they are for change. There are people who say, I'm ready, I've had enough of this corporate world, I really want change. I want everything to change fast, I want some drive, I want to have some kind of impact. But then they arrive, and it turns out that's not what they wanted. And it turns out that, well, they're actually afraid of it. And there's the typical interview. Now basically everyone uses competency-based interviews, but before, how they check for adaptability. Are you adaptable, Vadym? Well, I'm adaptable. Oh, well, that's it.
Well, that's it for now. Good.
Marked as adaptable. And only by digging into the past experience and really, looking at cases where they adapted, how they adapted, and if they adapted at all, will it likely show how they'll behave in the future. So only our past experience really determines how we will behave in the future. Because so many people, would say, oh, I love flying so much, I really do, but they've never flown in their life. They fly for the first time, and it turns out they have a panic-inducing fear of heights. So here, candidates actually have to work on themselves, prepare for those interviews, read about the company, and understand if it's truly what they want, not just applying for the salary. But there also needs to be a lot of work from the recruiter here. Well, with the hiring manager.
Let them come to us for a career consultation. We'll help them understand what they can do, where they want to go, what their development prospects are, and so on. We have a lot of these requests now because job seekers who've already come a certain way, often get stuck and don't know what to do next. So we also help steer a person in some direction, understanding their experience, their skill set, and their ambitions.
By the way, I also really like this trend in the industry. Well, agencies do this often now. I mean, basically starting from an agency that only worked on filling roles like critical roles, the most difficult roles for clients, how they're reformatting into this long-term cooperation with candidates and with clients as well, meaning not to close it here and now, but to take it and work through it. Maybe keep it in the database for a while and then find the vacancy for this candidate, let's say, not right now, because, well, it's not a proper match, but maybe their potential will open up and really maybe in 6 months or a year later, maybe even in 5 years. But where it's really will be the next step for them and where they will be as effective as possible.
Well, about the long run. I mean, quick money, you can find it and earn it. But the question is what you want to build in the long term. If in the long term you want to build strong relationships, partnerships, some kind of long-term game, and some kind of transparent, proper business in terms of values and culture, then you shouldn't hire candidates for the companies where there won't be a match, when you are definitely sure of it.
I'd be grateful if you could share some stats on how many, let's say, career consultations turned into hires and in what time period.
Almost all of them, yeah.
Great. You have actually been the CEO of the company for the last 7 years, right? You now have an agency. Before that, you worked in different industries. If we try to look at the bigger picture at iGaming, comparing it to other industries you've worked in, what does it seem most similar to payment companies, financial companies, IT, entertainment that everyone talks about? If you were to compare it with a different industry, which one would it be?
When I worked as an employee in corporate, in most cases, those were high risk. But now, during the time of establishing the agency that we're building with the team, we've already formed our value and our path. So it's only high risk, yeah. But we see a lot of fully regulated businesses too, yeah. What would I compare it to? Definitely an IT company, because in many ways iGaming is IT based, from market research to, let's say, traffic acquisition and analytics. So it's an IT story. As for entertainment, well, it's just the type of a similar product, but the foundation of the industry is definitely IT. It's just a bit different.
The product is 100% entertainment, I agree. But why is it often compared to finance, to payment companies? Because it's also like a core without which iGaming companies won't go far. Payment solutions don't work, deposits aren't made, winnings aren't withdrawn.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing works, basically nothing. So in fact, from what we see, even with our clients, if they enter some new area, a new region, marketing can be perfectly set up there. Everything can work perfectly. As soon as payment solutions don't work, everything falls apart. Nothing works. The loyalty of candidates, I almost said.
Of players.
Players' loyalty drops immediately and they basically don't get back. Well, I would probably still say that it's more like entertainment as a direction. Because if you look at the product, it's entertainment after all. And if you look at the content of it all, it's IT. But if you look at the core, it is all based on, it's a financial payment system. In short, it's hard for me to say which one it is most similar to because it's a kind of intersection of these areas. And for us, actually, a lot of people also come into iGaming from once again, fintech, from that same entertainment, from that same IT. Candidates from classic IT are the ones who want to switch the most because for them, they've just stayed in one place for too long and they want more of a drive. From fintech, we probably want them more because we know there are roughly the same
payments. Yeah, right.
Right? And you need to, solve similar problems. Well, and from entertainment, they just also understand the industry, understand the player, and that's probably the best match to build product and marketing. So we'll be taking product managers and marketers with that kind of background. Most likely.
Okay, cool.
Interesting. Next question, number 4. This one also, by the way, is linked to the previous question. Candidates, techies, marketers from any industry, wherever they are, they're often moving into iGaming now. Here, by the way, I'm interested in your opinion and your observation. Many of them drop out later. But what do you think it is about this iGaming that initially
drives them? Okay, well, they all think it's a very cash-rich industry. Of course, we'll talk more about that. There is money in iGaming. The question is who will earn it, right? And they're attracted by the financial component. They're attracted by the scale. They're attracted by the fact that these are fairly short and clear cycles, meaning there's no such thing as developing a product for 5 years, then you do a release, then you wait another 10 years for a return on investment, right? So everything here is quite fast and clear. And of course, when we talk to them, and if we see that we need to suggest a candidate move into iGaming, then it's an opportunity to build a career much faster than anywhere else. The faster you achieve results, the faster you get promoted. They give you a promotion, they give you some responsibility and opportunities to grow further. Well, I think you've seen cases like that, hundreds of them. When a person joined and in 2 or 3 years they're already in a leadership role or leading some projects. Well, those are the main points.
100%. I also thought about the fact that if we're talking about marketing, well, usually very creative people go there, but they're still data-driven, first and foremost, because creativity alone won't get them very far.
Data-driven and performance-oriented. So nobody...
Yes, in iGaming, there's a very big focus on performance marketing because in some other companies, there's also a big... Well, sometimes the biggest emphasis on brand awareness, which is very hard to measure. So basically, the picture is nice. There are videos and pictures to post on all social networks, but it's unclear how to measure this. How a person's job affects revenue, the final result, it's unclear. Here, a marketer, I think, like nowhere else, clearly understands exactly what their impact on the company's revenue is and sees this impact immediately. I'll definitely reference money here that marketing budgets in iGaming are probably higher than in some other companies. So of course, everyone is more interested in working with large budgets than with small ones. But at the same time...
This confirms a person's experience and responsibility. No one will give a person large budgets if they can't deal with them. Yeah, let's say.
And I'm curious how it works for you. Our clients often ask us to discuss with marketers if they can do anything at all without budgets. Because that really does happen. Depending on the market, right, that the marketer works in, there are markets that are already very well developed, bringing in profit, and there's really room to test, to do various marketing tests and so on, and to really boost the brand. There are cases when the region is just starting up, and in fact, there you have to justify every penny you spend. In such cases too, by the way, candidates are surprised when they go for an interview thinking, so I'm going there now. I thought they'd give me $1 million, but they're asking me if I can work with limited budgets at all, or what I'll do when budgets are almost at zero. But, well, that's exactly that mix. And about that same international experience you mentioned, that most likely in iGaming, you won't be working with just one area. You'll have to mix things up.
Yeah, sure, of course. Test, mix, enter, close, most likely exit some markets. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Still about that progression.
Yes.
Is it true or false? This idea that in iGaming, a career progression is really faster than in other industries.
Well, it's not a myth. A career really does progress faster if a person is actually ready to take initiative. I've seen a lot of cases in corporate businesses in IT where a person can stay in the same position for 7 years and no one even notices if they're there or not. I mean, they just stay there. But to actually progress in such case, it is difficult for those who want to. So it's definitely not a myth. In iGaming, you can build a career much faster, and in iGaming, you can get significantly more benefits for it. I mean, salary, compensation, and so on, that's also not a myth. Salary, yeah, compensation packages for employees, they are more attractive than in some similar industries. Often even the bonus part, it can actually exceed the main part of the fixed salary. But to get bonuses, everyone understands they're not just given away, you have to achieve goals. So, there's this poster, as you worked, so you earned. So if you actually deliver, show very good performance and earned a lot for the company, you'll be rewarded very generously. And it's also not a myth that people come to iGaming to earn, to build some kind of a financial foundation, a career foundation. But it all depends on them. And they will carry much more responsibility than they would in some of those calmer industries. So you have to be ready for that. There is no easy money.
Well, maybe OnlyFans.
And even then, who knows?
Well, I haven't actually seen an iGaming company where career progression is impossible. I think it's exactly about that speed you mentioned at the start. Well, basically, we've been mentioning it throughout our conversation. If a business grows fast, launches new regions fast, tests fast, it needs fast decisions. Sometimes it's really hard to hire an outside candidate. Well, not hard, but time-consuming. And it is much cheaper and faster to find someone from within who already knows the processes and has potential for this role than look for someone else.
And there will be fewer risks, right?
And from the inside, it's always less risky than from the outside because, well, so many factors are involved. I also think that when everyone thinks about iGaming, it's like about the money and how fast you can grow, but it's not about some kind of chaos, like you won't grow from an office manager to a head of region in a day. That's not about it at all. If a company sees that, like, okay, you have great analytical skills and later on they need someone for some not so analytical position, but they notice that in you, let's say, then when they'll need someone with analytical experience for, say, even a management position, you're the first one they'll look at internally. So the company is interested in picking someone and noticing someone, rather than having them just sit and wait until their manager, gets promoted and then maybe they get promoted to that vacant spot. And at Growe, by the way, as an example, heads of analytics very often became heads of regions. Heads of marketing became heads of regions. If we looked for such people on the market, well, obviously a person needs time to adapt and to show any results at all. But from the market, it takes about 5 months just to find them.
It's very difficult, yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult. People who are already in the industry, I don't know if we'll have such a question, but they understand the essence of this business much better than someone from the outside. So it could be a support manager or a VIP account manager who works with players. And they already understand what iGaming is, what deposits are, who the players are, what the product is, and the geos. So it's much easier, much simpler, and much more organic to grow someone from within the industry than to hire from the outside.
We also have teams, by the way, where this transition is directly set up. From support to VIP, from VIP to CRM, from CRM to products. It's basically a well-established chain where they first look within the team, and if no one fits, they hold full-cycle interviews too. They check how well a person fits in terms of soft skills, hard skills, values, and so on, and if the person can really unlock this potential. So it also doesn't happen chaotically, like, well, Vadym, give it a try. Here's an offer. Start your new position tomorrow. It all happens quite structurally, but, well, it works great, meaning it's a well-oiled system. And it's nice to see that people from the inside have room to grow and businesses meet their needs. Though perhaps for agencies, it's not as profitable.
Look, there will always be work for an agency. When the industry grows, and it is growing, even with internal recruitment teams and many other agencies on the market, if you have the expertise and provide real value, they'll keep coming back, referring and recommending you. So there's always work. And we're actually glad, well, I think you understand since you have an agency too, right? We're actually always very happy when someone comes to us and says, let's try working together to find someone, like a marketing director, for example. We say, okay. And then 3 or 4 days or a week later, they come back and say, oh, we found someone ourselves or transferred someone, Look, we're always happy. Like, great, the issue is resolved. No one's hurt. We'll find other work.
Yeah, and they'll still come back to you.
Yeah, 100%.
And you already mentioned an interesting point about money, whether it's a myth or not. Honestly, I do believe that inflated salaries in iGaming are a myth, because sometimes we interview someone and they throw out a figure, that makes our eyes pop, because we know they aren't being paid anywhere near that, where they are right now. Well, I know that when moving from company to company, people usually add about 30%.
20 to 30.
It wasn't like 20 or 30, it was like plus 100%. And you're like, wait, where did that number come from? Well, I know you have such good salaries there and so on. You do salary range analysis, and we also do a salary range analysis every year. So we see the whole picture across different areas and different companies. To say they're that high, basic salaries, not at all. Compared to other companies, they can actually be lower. But as you said, if you take the whole compensation package...
Yeah. The result, yeah. Actually, regarding those strange, just wild requests they make, well, we understand why they do it. Even if it's an iGaming candidate applying for another iGaming role, they just think, maybe they'll give it to me. Like, you didn't give it, maybe another company will, and someone next will give it. And it's usually some hypothetical investor who invested in a team. He trusted someone, a hired CEO with a 2 or 3 million launch budget, who is going to build a team, needs it ready in a month, and sees a candidate 1.5 times more expensive than the market, but he needs them now, so he just hires them. That's the first case. And second, incompetent C-level or HR management who just don't know the market, and they're like, oh, they're asking for 5, they must be worth 5. Let's give it to them. And then third, there are high, ultra high salaries. What are they paid for? For the risk. I mean, a company won't offer double the market salary if everything is fine. If it had a brand, processes, and a business, it would definitely find someone. But if they pay significantly more than the candidate's market value, yeah, it's definitely a red flag. And the candidate should think if they're ready to give much more, then something is probably going wrong in the company. Whether they're going down or just testing things out, well, it's not a very good sign.
It's honestly very sad when a company really has nothing else to provide to a potential candidate except for just a high basic salary.
Yeah.
No interesting projects, no structure, no team, no interesting operations. And they really come for specific experience because they need it, and they just lure them with big money. Unfortunately, there are enough of those on the market. That's true.
Yeah, well, and we can't rule out the human factor that money is important, yeah? And every person, based on their needs, will make an adjustment for that. 100%.
We have certain companies that headhunt specifically for the experience of other companies and are ready to pay any amount of money to get that experience. And here I also wanted to ask you, how much do you notice this transition between companies in iGaming, or does it even exist? Basically, how companies cooperate with each other, headhunt, whether some iGaming companies are really interested to take candidates from other iGaming companies, or maybe look at, I don't know, some other high-risk industries?
Well, often when people come to us and tell that they need a head of payments or a chief marketing officer, the client immediately says these donor companies are a priority, and Growe is very often on that list of donors, for example. Well, because everyone understands the expertise, understands their, so to speak, the kitchen. Yeah, transitions in iGaming are very frequent, and they almost always want to hire someone who's ready, experienced, already has a base, rather than nurturing them, growing them, or training them. So there are many of these transitions. Moreover, basically everyone in the industry knows each other. I mean, it's not small, but through one handshake, you or I can get a recommendation for anyone basically in Eastern Europe, a person who is there. There are a few top managers even marked in our ATS who were not very honest or transparent somewhere, and that's it. Well, they look for work for a very long time, they don't get hired. The market seems large, but it's familiar, everyone knows each other. All these transitions between companies for senior or C-level people, they're very important for reputation, and you can't just jump between companies for some annual bonus or a joining bonus or something else. So yeah, but we can actually see a very different side of the coin. Well, it's not very common, but sometimes a client from a fully regulated business, on the contrary, asks for someone from iGaming because they understand it's about responsibility, budgets, and tough decisions. Very often these are complex systems, and we get these real requests coming in regularly, like find me someone from iGaming, because I know the pace is fast, the money is big, the responsibility, and so on. But it's very hard to bring someone from iGaming into some other industry.
They probably have to be either very burnt out.
Yeah, sure, I guess.
Or ready to move to some new stage. Because I haven't actually noticed that very often in the market, where people from iGaming want to join some corporations, clearly regulated niches, because those perceptions still exist. You know, even when I see posts at Threads and everyone writes, oh, if it's iGaming, it's definitely a red flag. People are doing something bad there. Oh, those bloggers, if they work with iGaming companies, that's also 100% bad. And it's everywhere. In fact, iGaming conferences are no different from other conferences. It's just a bit more of that same buzz, more about networking, more... From the outside, it might also seem like there's more chaos. And until you're on the inside, you won't understand that whole wow effect, you know, how it can go. And this iGaming paradox can be observed in non-iGaming circles, where the experience is somewhat undervalued. It seems like they're doing something not that serious, but they earn a lot. Many people who stay for, say, 5 to 7 years in the industry, they say it's hard to move to another industry. They really rarely want to, but if they do, they encounter a large number of not so mature business owners, not like the ones you're talking about, who clearly understand the essence and substance of the business. There are those who don't dive deeper, and they will look for candidates from other donor companies in their same regulated niches, and sometimes they'll search for years. I see on LinkedIn sometimes someone posts looking for, a marketing director, and someone replies, "You've been looking for 4 years? Maybe change something?"
Something went wrong, right?
Yeah, somewhere. Well, and it also seems to me that within iGaming, for example, positions can be changed easily, like from a VIP manager to a CRM manager. But being a VIP manager and applying for a CRM manager position at another company, you haven't changed roles yet, but you're already applying, well,
I think that's almost impossible.
But you get many requests for candidates from iGaming. That's
not many, but we do get those.
Interesting.
We do get those. And actually, there's a business owner. In this specific case, it's a payday loan business. Yeah, quick loans. And he understands that in iGaming, everything is just faster, more dynamic, bigger, and so on. And there are specific requests like, give me people from there. But it's hard to fulfill such a request because someone who's used to running fast, solving problems, and hitting goals doesn't always want to go into a calmer environment.
Well, unless their magnesium has completely run out.
Yeah, right.
Where do you think this industry is heading in general? What are the trends? Well, let's not talk about AI, which everyone is already tired of.
Yeah. Trends? Well, from what we see as recruiters in iGaming, this industry is basically becoming more sustainable, more systematic, more about culture, about building companies, building processes and maturity compared to, say, 3 to 5 years ago when everyone rushed into iGaming thinking it was a cash cow and some succeeded. Yeah. And they were like, oh, we'll make some quick money and see what happens. So now it's no longer the kind of business that's just about making money. Here, large-scale processes and businesses are being built architecturally, solid, cultural, and expert. So that's our perspective as an agency and how we see it. I won't go into things like product work, engagement, and so on. Those are all already internal business matters. But looking at it from the outside, it's now a solid, clear, proper, and cultural business. The companies we work with are moving exactly in this direction.
I also noticed that there are fewer, let's say, blurred roles. There's, a very clear definition of responsibility for why they're hiring for a role. They come with a request, a clear request for what they need, for what duties, and for what result. Before it was like, we need some kind of project manager who, basically you'll pitch the job well, but we need them to bring order between departments, come in and fix things and so on. Now there's a specific request. What's not working? What needs to be fixed? And there are no such roles, where they'd say, let's test it out. Will we need it or not? I don't know. Maybe we'll look at them for a 3-month probation and realize we don't need this role, then let them go. That doesn't happen anymore. People clearly understand what kind of team they need and who they'll need for that team. And they definitely count the money spent on people. They'd rather offer one person a higher full compensation package than hire, say, 2 people doing roughly the same thing, but then have to cut back a bit on their base salary or, the overall package. And there's no more overexpanding the team. That used to happen.
Because it's now a more mature business that doesn't just run blindly towards where they think the money is, but is now a more systematic, clear business with the right approaches.
Sounds like a trend that's definitely happening right now.
Well, yeah, I hope so. Well, we see it. At the very least, we only work with companies like that. With those, who decided to find quick money and buy everyone out, we don't even work with them.
We also work with companies that pass our, let's say, initial screening process, that offer great opportunities to candidates, that offer great working conditions, that actually have a structure, know what they want, and won't just close down tomorrow. They have a clearly developed plan. I'm not saying for 5 or 10 years and so on. Obviously, right now we have a fast-paced world and business environment. But overall, we work with companies that can have something to offer in return and know what they want. And it doesn't feel bad to sell them, to candidates.
Yes, right. Yes.
It's not just that some basics are covered, it's something they can actually brag about later on among their friends' companies about what a great employer they have. It's cool that more and more of these companies are appearing on the market.
Yes, yes.
If we were to sum up these long questions, and you had to sell the iGaming industry to a candidate in just one sentence, how do you usually do that? I'm sure you do it all the time.
I would tell a candidate this is the industry where your contribution and your results directly and also quite quickly and significantly impact your career growth. In other words, the more results you achieve, the better it is for you, and the faster you are able to build some kind of outcome, the more positive the effect will be on your professional development. Value, impact, whatever you want to call it, the faster you will move up. And that is 100% true. There's no other industry. We don't have another industry with such values and opportunities that would give a candidate the chance to get results right here and now and move forward quickly. We're not even talking about money. Those are just consequences like bonuses, cash, and all that. They're the results of good work. But this dynamic, this pace, you can get it in iGaming for sure. Maybe there are some other niches.
And I've also noticed that everyone loves joining startups now. It's trendy. You're there at the very beginning of everything. And it seems to me that many iGaming companies, no matter how big they've become, they still keep that startup spirit.
Right.
They have that. Some companies, they've grown past 1,000 people in headcount. They've already become a corporation with tons of processes. Basically, with all that bureaucracy where 10 people do the same thing, you don't see that there. You can have 3,000 people in the company and that startup spirit is still there. And anyone can really bring something to the table, an idea, and they'll actually hear it. And I mean a startup in a good way, not a chaotic one. Where it's just totally unclear how things work. By startup, I mean that, spirit of impact, ownership, decision-making, and so on. Well, as promised, a Blitz, the biggest myth about iGaming.
Lots of easy money.
The weirdest question from a candidate.
Should I turn on the camera during calls?
Oh, and they're sitting there with an IQOS.
Yeah, often.
The most overrated role in the industry?
Media buyer, but that depends on how you look at it. Of course, it's a key role, but its weight in the market, I think, is a bit overrated. They get way too much attention.
100%. Everyone needs media buyers right now.
Yeah, well, and that really shakes up the market.
Fast career growth or stability?
Growth, definitely, yeah.
For you personally, coffee or an energy drink for a deadline?
Coffee, 100%. Lots of coffee.
I just remembered that Revo from school. It's awful. A candidate with potential or one with perfect experience?
Potential. Yes, definitely. We grow people, in-house recruiters as well. And we understand that it's potential and then fine-tuning.
And it seems to me that these people with nearly perfect experience, they sometimes focus more on how great they are and their great experience rather than what they can bring and really
give me, rather than I will give back and aim to build something together.
One major red flag in a candidate.
That would be lying. Well, I mean, when they lie a lot, lying 100%.
And a green flag?
Achievements backed by numbers. And that's it. Nothing else is needed.
If not iGaming, then what?
Affiliate marketing.
Interesting. About lying. Who lies more, candidates or employers?
Candidates, 100%.
Says the employer?
No, well, candidates do lie, yeah.
I think employers often try to sugarcoat things, while candidates sometimes lie.
Yeah, they lie, yeah. Well, when we talk to candidates, we always tell them that it's basically forbidden. Lying is just not allowed. You can maybe sugarcoat things a little bit, just a little, but actually lying, well, that's just completely forbidden,
Well, it will just come out anyway. Is a counteroffer really a win for the company that made it and successfully got the candidate, or is it in fact game over?
It's a win, but a short-term one. I mean, when a company makes a counteroffer, it has to understand that something needs to change. I really don't like counteroffers, basically, in any sense, and I think it's a short-term win.
I think a lot here also depends on the recruiter's work. Sometimes this can be predicted at some of the initial stages. You can see such candidates. There are many of these counteroffers now, unfortunately, they really are there. But usually this can be predicted. And somehow the candidate's motivation was misidentified. At some point we didn't fully reveal, figure out, or understand them. If suddenly, unexpectedly, at some stage, a counteroffer popped up, which they accepted.
Based on experience, well, I actually ask candidates, some of whom I lead myself. I ask right away, did you come to us to test the market? Like to see what's out there? Okay, I'll give you a tip. We'll get something so you can get an in-house salary raise. Yeah, but if you're here to actually change jobs, then let's work. And if the candidate sees that I'm not going to play games or beat around the bush, they often even say, to check the market to see what's what. I say, okay, no problem here.
And even for the employer of this candidate you're talking about, for them it's already actually game over, just a bit delayed. Sooner or later they'll enter the market anyway, and not for a counteroffer, 100%. Vadym, thank you. Actually, an hour has flown by for us, just 5 minutes. There were even more questions that I didn't even have time to ask, but unfortunately people love short videos now. We could sit here for 3 hours talking, right? And what's important, I recently read that people love short videos for quick gratification, scrolling through reels, just for a pretty picture. But they come to build relationships with those they get used to seeing on screen in long videos. And it turns out people actually watch long videos. They love to both watch and listen to them without switching off. And the trust is built with such people. Well, of course, if they appeal to them, but there's much more of a connection with them than with those who often post 10-second videos with their thoughts. They just become close people, so to speak, whom they already start to trust.
Well, I hope we've given some insights, provided some understanding, and to those who are still hesitant about whether to go into iGaming, whether iGaming is good, or whether to leave iGaming, it will be clearer for them. And of course, they can, if they have questions, contact Growe Talents, contact Talentin, ask, get a consultation, or just apply for a position. Yeah, definitely. I hope it was helpful.
Good. Dear candidates, we are the people who are simply passionate about recruitment and what they do. So definitely do contact us. We want to change the world of recruitment and hiring in general, and to create, a trend, the right trend in which it all moves, about development, about the next step, about unlocking potential, about this perfect match. We want everyone to be in their place, doing cool things, helping businesses grow. So we'll be here with you for more than one episode, and I'm sure Vadym will be a guest on this podcast a few more times. Tune in. We want to change your career life for the better.
Irina, thank you.
Thank you, Vadym. Thanks for the invitation.
Very interesting.
See ya.
See you. Bye.